Good evening. You're watching the late news on HKIBC. I'm Harminder Singh. Here are tonight's top stories. Government activates emergency plans ahead of Super Typhoon Mangkhut as some residents refuse to evacuate. Flights cancelled ahead of Mangkhut's arrival, affecting thousands of passengers. And Mangkhut rips through Luzon and the Philippines on its way towards Hong Kong. The government isn't taking any chances and has activated its emergency plans well ahead of Super Typhoon Mangkhut's arrival. Coaches have been deployed to areas such as Tai O and parts of Tuen Mun to evacuate residents, but some prefer to stay and protect their property. Karen Yeung reports.
If you looked out your window during the day, you wouldn't believe there was a super typhoon barreling towards the city. It was all sunshine this morning with the mercury reaching 35 degrees. But the weather is expected to change rapidly as Super Typhoon Mangkhut gets closer to Hong Kong. Citizens in coastal and low-lying areas were busy doing everything they could to protect their homes from strong winds brought on by the storm. The government was taking no changes and activated its emergency plans. Apart from setting up shelters and coordination centers, the Home Affairs Department arranged for coaches to evacuate residents from at-risk areas, such as the fishing village of Tai O and parts of Tuen Mun and Yuen Long. Coaches were ready in the afternoon to send residents to nearby shelters. However, it seemed the evacuation plan was not well received. Residents of stilt houses in Tai O were given priority, but this resident was not planning to get on the coach. I don't see the need. A typhoon is not something unusual, he said. He added that he would simply take necessary precautions. The situation at Tuen Mun's Lunon Sanchun was similar. Department officials were deployed to the village to inform residents about the evacuation plan. But some residents said they would rather stay to protect their homes. If there's someone home, we could just pile more sandbags wherever water was coming in, this man said. He believed the damage would be unimaginable if they left their home for shelter. In Sam Kachun of Le Yuen Mun, the shelter was opened even before Typhoon Signal Number 8 was issued. But again, residents were not keen on leaving. Of course, I'm worried about my own safety, but I'm staying here to do as much as I can to guard my 50-year business, this woman said. She said she had got her hands on precautions a couple of days ago, after she lost about $10,000 the day that Typhoon Hato struck Hong Kong last year. We understand that residents may not want to leave when the weather is still seemingly fine, said Deputy Director of Home Affairs Figa Wong. But she warned that the public shouldn't underestimate Mangkhut's threat and appealed to residents not to wait until the wind became intense. Karen Yeung, HKIBC.
If you're planning to fly out of the city tomorrow, you may want to check with your airline before heading to the airport. Super Typhoon Mangkhut is expected to severely affect Hong Kong tomorrow, so many airlines have already been cancelling flights. Yupina Ng reports.
Tens of thousands of airline passengers have already been affected by Super Typhoon Mangkhut, with many flights departing from the airport tomorrow cancelled.
In the next few days, we believe that the flight operation will be seriously affected by the typhoon. We strongly advise the passenger to check with the airline, in particular on the seat confirmation and also flight time before proceed to the airport.
Yu said the airport emergency center had been activated to minimize the damage brought by the storm. He added that the authority had requested restaurants and convenience stores at the airport to extend their operating hours and stock up with extra food to cope with an expected surge in demand. A spokesman for Hong Kong's flagship carrier Cathay Pacific said it cancelled a total of 420 flights, affecting 92,000 passengers. All flights between 2:30 a.m. tomorrow and 4 a.m. on Monday have been cancelled. Its sister airline Cathay Dragon also cancelled all Sunday flights and a number of flights on Monday. Hong Kong Airlines scrapped 123 flights in total and won't be flying after 2:30 a.m. tomorrow. Some 16 flights, which were supposed to land in Hong Kong tomorrow, will arrive on Tuesday instead. SC high-speed ferry service Cotai Waterjet had its last sailing from Hong Kong to Macau at 5:30 p.m. today. It will suspend services tomorrow. Meanwhile, all bets are off at Sha Tin Racecourse as the bad weather forced the Jockey Club to cancel tomorrow's horse races. All bets already placed can be refunded. The club said it would consider making up for the cancelled race on 29th of December if government approved it. Yupinam, HKIBC.
Turning overseas, before making its way towards Hong Kong, Mangkhut ripped through the island of Luzon in the Philippines. At least 14 people have been killed, with the death toll expected to rise. Isabel Wong reports.
Almost all buildings in the Philippines' city of Tuguegarao were damaged by Super Typhoon Mangkhut, which ripped through the country's main island of Luzon. More than 4 million people were in the path of the storm and were at risk from rising flood waters and landslides. Thousands were evacuated over warnings of 6-meter storm surges. In the first confirmed deaths, rescuers were killed trying to help people trapped in the landslide. There are unconfirmed reports of casualties in the coastal town of Apari, as the evacuation center was believed to have been destroyed. Phone networks are also down. Mangkhut is the strongest storm of 2018. It carried wind gusts of up to 325 kilometers per hour before it made landfall on the northern tip of Luzon early this morning. It lost some strength over land, but it still packed wind speeds equivalent to a Category 4 hurricane. The storm has a cloud diameter of about 900 kilometers and is heading west at about 30 kilometers per hour. The deadliest storm on record in the Philippines was Super Typhoon Haiyan in 2013, which claimed more than 7,000 lives. Isabel Wong, HKIBC.
Back locally, a think tank founded by former Legislative Council President Jasper Jung has recommended nationalizing the MTR, believing the move would change the focus of the railway company from profits to serving public interest. Sarah Wong reports.
The MTR has been embroiled in a series of construction scandals in recent months. The continuous stream of bad news has raised doubt about the railway giant's management and whether its pursuit of profit was affecting its operational integrity. Local think tank Hong Kong Vision Project believes it has the solution: nationalize it. The think tank of former Legislative Council President Jasper Jung said MTR Corporation's profit-driven model might fail to serve the public interest. It suggested the government buy back all shares of the company in order to resume full control. Executive and Research Director Andrew Fong said there seemed to be a disconnect regarding communication within the company, where top management was not aware of decisions made by lower-ranked staff. To improve supervision, the think tank recommended the government set up a railway authority to monitor the MTRC more closely. It said the airport authority was a model the new railway body could emulate, as it achieved a balance between social responsibility and financial sustainability. While having a government assuming control of the company would not break its monopoly on railway services in the city, Fong believed the government would not prioritize profitability. But this is not the first time a nationalization option has been put forward. A similar suggestion was made last month by legislator Michael Chen. The think tank estimated the government would need around $100 billion to buy back shares. Chung said that if the government approved of the proposal, it may spark debate about whether to nationalize other private corporations in the city, such as Link REIT. The Link controls shopping centers in public housing estates around the city and has been accused of pushing out neighborhood stores in favor of big chains by hiking up rent. Sarah Wong, HKIBC.
The task force on land supply hasn't decided on how to boost the city's land supply despite numerous public consultations, according to its chairman, Stanley Wong. Public agreement on the best solution remained mixed, but there was one point the majority agreed on. Hong Kong would require more land than the 1,200 hectares suggested by the task force. Yupina Ng reports.
4 months and 180 public discussions later, the government-appointed 30-member task force on land supply can't decide on the best option. Task force chairman Stanley Wong made the admission on a radio program this morning. 18 options to boost the city's land supply were put forward to the public. Wong reviewed that feedback received from public consultations on how to solve the city's chronic housing shortage remained mixed. But there was one point a majority of public agreed on. The city faced a land shortage above the task force's suggestion of 1,200 hectares. The most discussed options to solve the shortage issue were developing brownfield sites, fanning golf course, and the outer edges of country parks. Tapping into private agricultural land reserves in the new territories and land reclamation were also the most debated. Even though we have held many discussion forums and listened to many ideas, we could not tell which of these options were the most or least popular, Wong said. He added that the task force would need to study the public consultations further before submitting their recommendations to the government. Yupinam, HKIBC.
Mainland home prices increased 1.4% last month, a two-year high. The rise is seen as a sign that Beijing's efforts to boost a slowing economy may once again be heating up the real estate market. Here's Isabel Wong.
How high can it go? Well, China's home prices accelerated at the fastest pace in nearly 2 years. Average new home prices in China's 70 major cities increased by 1.4% in August from a month earlier. That was up 1.1% from July's reading. It was the fastest gain since September 2016 and the 40th straight month of price increases. 67 out of the 70 cities surveyed by the National Bureau of Statistics reported a monthly price growth for new homes, and only Xiamen reported an actual price decline. Compared with a year ago, the NBS data showed that the new home prices climbed 7% this year. While solid growth in the sector could cushion the impact of a multi-year government crackdown on debt and escalating trade tensions with the US, it could also stoke fears of a potential housing bubble. Analysts say property price gains this year are due to looser credit and the delayed effect of strong government stimulus. Chinese policymakers have rolled out a bundle of measures to support growth this year, including encouraging banks to boost lending to smaller businesses. While some property analysts believe authorities will be more cautious about stimulating property investment than in past downturns, some suspect additional funds will flow into the market. The PBOC data this week showed household loans increased to more than 700 billion yuan in August from 634 billion yuan in July, and that alone accounts for 54.8% of total new loans in August. Isabel Wong, HKIBC.
And still to come after the break. Hurricane Florence brings widespread flooding and damage to east coast of U.S.